Hi everyone, this is Raquel and welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, this channel is all about our family's journey on building our vacation home on St. John in the Virgin Islands, and also a little bit of our travel journeys. Today we have a kind of a special one. Peter is actually headed to the airport and he is going to St. John. I'm actually staying here with the kids because tomorrow is their first day of school, and Peter is going to check on the job. So Maya actually sent Peter with a squishmallow because she is not a happy camper that Daddy is going away again. And she didn't go with us. The kids didn't go with us. So she's not happy that Peter is going again, but I'll be here. But we are going to talk about our building design a little bit today as we go to the airport. We had a comment on our last video that asked why we chose to build, or if we decided to build our home in phases over time, like what's the thinking behind that. And then also our contractor had made a comment that he thought our design was pretty great so that we could manage the costs and the bill over time. So we're going to talk a little bit about Peter and I's thinking when we sat down with the architect and designed our building and how we plan to do it in phases. So stay tuned. We're going to head into the car and head to the airport. Our suitcases are still here. It is raining, and so usually I take Peter to the train station, but I am actually going to drop him to the airport. So our intention was to build on our property, but of course still keep in line with our HOA guidelines. Part of the HOA guidelines was that we cannot have multiple dwellings on our property. That's just part of, their building bylaws. Our property is pretty wide, so essentially it probably would make sense to have multiple dwellings, like some other properties on St. John, but we didn't have that luxury. So what we decided to do is just be a little bit creative with our design and build one villa. But as you can see, there is separate, I would say, we call it buildings, right babe? Like buildings on top of our slab. So I would say that there were two main factors on why we did this. And I'll let Peter talk about the first factor because I'm driving. But the first was we were thinking that it would be great for our villa design and our guests. So, babe, tell them a little bit about that design and why we chose.
One of the reasons that we chose to build the way we did was, as far as building, we could actually take our time and build one building at a time. Kind of makes it a little bit less stressful financially, and also, well, I know she said only one reason, but
well, you were supposed to talk about one reason. And
yeah,
that was
I was supposed to talk about one reason. I know, but I was also thinking about basically families travel together, but at the same time it's good to have a little bit of separation. So in the way we decided to choose to build a building was kind of to give it a little bit of separation, where we kind of have three separate buildings. So if a family was to travel together, they still have a little bit of privacy, kind of give it a little bit of exclusiveness. Also, although you're traveling with another family, that was basically one of the reasons.
And I would say the other reason, so recently while Peter was down there on his last trip, our contractor had mentioned that he thought that the design was brilliant, right? At first, he was a little bit wary of the design.
He didn't like it.
He didn't like it.
Yeah, he didn't like it at all.
Yes, because if you, on the one side, we have like our master bedroom that's pretty self-contained. So we have like a one bedroom with a pretty big bathroom and a kitchenette area. So if you think about like a villa or a small villa, like you would see something like that, like it's pretty self-contained, or like a hotel suite. And then in the middle, we have like our living area, our kitchen. Like it's more of an area where like the family that's coming to the villa would congregate. And then there's a pool upstairs. And then on the other side, the right side of the villa, there's a 2-bedroom that's upstairs, downstairs. And that's also pretty contained, doesn't have a kitchen. But the contractor was saying that, you know, I guess he felt a little wary. He didn't really like the design. And a lot of people, I think, most people, right? Just because you have that open concept to go between the buildings, you kind of have to go outside.
Yes, that and most people like the traditional way of building back home. You know, you build in the same way that everybody is building. So being that, you know, our building was a little bit different, it was kind of hard for people to envision it and understand what we was trying to do. So it's like, you know, they kind of, I mean, pretty much just didn't like it. But I mean, we're not really traditional people. We kind of like to get out the box and do stuff our way. So, you know, we decided to go with the design that we felt was going to be nice and, you know, more villa style, more luxury, more, I think, in my opinion, just better in general versus the traditional upstairs, downstairs house with the stairs on the outside. And, you know, you got one level, it's like one house on the top. The bottom level is like a second house in the bottom. We just kind of didn't really want to go with that design, so we chose to do it the way that we chose, and I think it's going to work out pretty good for us.
Yep, and there's a ton of outdoor space. That was something that was important to Peter and I, just because, like, traditionally, like in our parents' home and homes that we're used to being in the Virgin Islands, like there's more inside space than outdoor space. Like, you know, like we wanted to have a big deck that our guests could you know, have get a tan or have like a little party or something like that. So there's a ton of outdoor space. And then, like I would say, the most important thing of this all, and if you don't remember anything else in the video, is to be intentional. Like if you are planning to build something in the Virgin Islands, be prepared that it's going to be a very expensive feat. It's going to be a very expensive project. So you have to really sit down and think about, you know, am I going to have the finances to build this all up at one time? The good thing is that most homes in the Virgin Islands are built by concrete, right? And that's your choice if you want to do wood or concrete. The good thing is that most homes are built with concrete, so you can take your time essentially, but you have to determine, like, do you want to build it where you have part of it that's finished, a downstairs that's finished, and then you're working on the upstairs years later. So in our last video, we got a comment from one of our subscribers that asked, like, did we go into this thinking that we were going to build it all one time, or we're going to build it over a few years? So the answer is yes, we are going to build it over years. It's been about 3 years from the time we got our plans in our hand, and here we are now in 2025, and we're still going at it.
Yes, I mean, we still have our separate lives in Atlanta where we live. You know, we still got our bills to pay, our kids to take care of. So, I mean, we still got to kind of split on a little bit of money to go towards the bill, and then still have something to be able to eat where we stay in Atlanta, take out, you know, buy stuff for our kids, you know, school supplies, all that stuff when school is about to begin and all that. So, you know, it's kind of tough trying to spend all your money into just the project, you know, and even if you do, it's still going to be, it's still expensive. So, I mean, you still at some point probably going to run out of money, you know, because just as the price, the cost of living down in the Virgin Islands, concrete is very expensive, probably more expensive than most places.
Yep, and unless you're rich, you know, and we are not, right? We are not rich.
Not at all. Not even close.
So,
not even close.
You know, like Peter said in our last sit-down video, that this is possible if you set your mind to it. We do these videos so that we can inspire, motivate, and, you know, have people follow along on this journey. So not just locals, but, you know, really anyone that has a dream of coming to the Virgin Islands or any island in general. But more specifically, we would love to see a lot more of the locals and folks that we grew up with build so that we can keep that culture also on the island, and so that we could share that with visitors and those that choose to make St. John their new home as well. But like I said, you have to be intentional. What we're doing is, if once we build our downstairs, we have the option to build our 1-bedroom building and then stop. Then maybe our middle building and then stop. The option's there. We don't know what our path is going to be if we're going to just do everything at one time, but having the options are great. So it's something to think about if you are going to build in the Virgin Islands. And so I hope this was helpful for you, those that left comments and those that have been asking why we chose the design that we chose. Babe, you have anything else before we go?
Yes, we just want to say thank you to all our subscribers, everybody that's been motivating us, everybody that's been behind us, kind of supporting us in the process. And leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about the building design. Let us know if you think there's anything that we could have done different. Just kind of comment and, have something to say on your part.
Yep. And if you're new here, go back and watch our other videos. We've organized our journey on a playlist, so definitely watch us from the beginning to see where we started to where we are now, and so that you can continue to follow us. But until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Peace.